welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be cooking one of my favourite comfort dishes, which is the humble shepherd's pie. It's quintessentially British. It's a great dish for the winter months. Very comforting, very warming, easy to make. We're going to be cooking up my favourite sort of go-to recipe if I'm in a bit of a rush and I just want to get this done quickly with as minimal washing up as possible. There's loads of variations of shepherd's pies out there. Often people call a cottage pie a shepherd's pie. Shepherd's pie is obviously with lamb, and in the UK people like to make it with minced beef, and that's a cottage pie.
Picture behind it's from Kmart.
Obviously, we're using
may have seen it once before.
A different type of meat, but today we're going to be just doing a really basic but really comforting shepherd's pie. We've got a really straightforward set of ingredients here that I'm going to talk you through. So we've first and foremost the star of the show, which is the lamb. We've got a nice organic minced lamb from Daylesford, which is just down the road. You want to go for quite a high fat content minced meat, so always ask for the high fat option because that's going to really give you a lot of flavour and depth to the dish. We've got the humble carrot, which I've already peeled, and we're going to be using as much of that today as possible. Obviously normally try and use them from the garden. We're not blessed with too many carrots at the moment, so these are also from Daylesford. We've got a couple of white onions, some garlic, we have just a small amount of red wine. Now I'm going to be using some chopped tomatoes today. Most people would tend to use tomato puree. Honest truth is I quite like having a bit more of a tomatoey rich flavour to the ragu sort of mincemeat, so I'll be using chopped tomatoes. But yeah, a lot of people would just use a bit of tomato puree, but that's all to taste. A few different ingredients. A lot of recipes for shepherd's pie actually recommend using chicken stock. I would always use beef stock with lamb personally, but what we actually have is Josie's homemade bone broth. So we're going to be using a nice homemade bone broth, which will hopefully add a really rich flavour into here, and ultimately is also going to make it that bit more nutritious. On the theme of organic and trying to make this as wholesome and as hearty as possible, we're actually going to be using what's called a Dorset, here we go, I'm going to say this, a Dorsetshire sauce. And we discovered this when we went on our sort of UPF journey and became quite obsessed with looking at the back of what's in everything. Now, the nation's favourite, if you're from outside the UK, you might not be familiar, but the nation's favourite is the Worcestershire sauce, which is made by Lea & Perrins. Now, most households in the UK will have that in the cupboard. Don't be alarmed, but it does have flavourings in, which ultimately make it a UPF, and therefore I would advise looking at trying to use something that is more natural. This literally, to give you an idea of what's in it, has white wine vinegar, cider vinegar, sugar, tamarind, water, molasses, salt, herbs and spices.